Good morning. Welcome back to Coffee and Colorful Conversation. Happy Wednesday. I want you to notice my beautiful new mug from my amazing friend Johnny. I feel like I'm Regis and Kelly having my own face on my mug, but such a nice surprise. I did a in-person highlighting class at Johnny's salon and walked in to her sitting on the counter. He is so amazing. I get to spend the day with him today. We are going to a foot reflexology um, place to get our feet rubbed for 30 minutes and then going out to lunch. So I know I talked about doing more in 2024. I didn't think that's what that would look like, but I've had foot reflexology before and it was amazing. So when I saw that come across my feed, I was like, Johnny will go with me. So that is my big day today after this. So, as you know, I alluded last week to the fact that I'm super fired up about the whole Sally Beauty announcement. And I don't know if I am the source of you finding out about it, but throughout my career, certain things have elevated my blood pressure, to say the least. One of them being in TJ Maxx or Marshalls or Ross or one of those places that I love to shop and coming across shelf upon shelf upon shelf of professional products. And I'm not talking low end professional products that used to be professional that now aren't. I'm talking like Pureology and Goldwell and all Olaplex. I'm seeing all of them. And every single time, I don't know what I think it's going to do, but every single time I take my camera out and I'm filming it and I'm angry as I'm filming it. The last time I did it was in Publix and they had every brand. They had Living Proof. They had everything you can imagine in Publix. So I'm like, angrily filming it. And I'm like, what does that do? It is what it is. The manufacturers say it's not them. They say that it's a hairdresser that is, getting the product for the store, whatever it is, we know it's happening. Right. So I got over that. I didn't get over it. I shouldn't say I got over it. I've learned to live with it. Sally Beauty, when it first came out, was a great little resource in more, neighborhood type things to be able to go and get that thing that you ran out of from your regular distributor. If you ran out of foils, or for me, it was always those little clips that you use, excuse me, for rollers. I used to use those on my foils and they were always disappearing like the other sock. So you would run to Sally and get duckbill clips or cotton or gloves or any of those things. And they would guard the door like you were going into the White House and check your license to make sure that you were licensed back in the day. I got turned down a couple times when I didn't have my physical license with me. I would say to them, I'm in your system, I'm here all the time. And they'd be like, nope, have to see your license. So for them to do this complete 360 into their demographic is now the consumer, we're kind of an annoyance that gets a discount on things that the consumer will pay more for. There is nothing in the store that the consumer cannot purchase, including bleach, including corrective color products, including Vivids, including all of the things. So I have it where I buy my things here in Florida. There's a Sally next to a Cosmoprof. So I needed Wella color. Or no, I'm sorry. It was for Misi for Ian when he came to the retreat. He requested for Misi, and I don't use for Misi. So he's like, oh, Cosmoprof has it. So I pull up in my car, and because they're right next to each other, I go into Sally and don't even know that I'm in Sally. And I'm talking to the person at the counter, and he's completely clueless. And I say, oh, can you direct me to Misi? And he's like, Misi? What's that? And I was like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, I don't think we carry that. Excuse me, my voice is not awake yet. So he has no clue. And I'm like, wait a minute, am I in Cosmoprof? And he's like, no, it's Sally. And I was like, oh, okay. So that explains it. So I don't know where I saw it, comes across my feed. Like, here it is. It's, do your color by yourself. Come see us at Sally. I was like, oh, kidding me? Here is what came across my thing. Free and fast hair color consultation, licensed colorist on demand, with the quotes. What kind of color should I try? Which toner is best for me? I don't know how to pick a developer. I've never colored my roots before. It's time. Connect now. Sally, WTF? Are you kidding me? We've let you go to be the consumer's BFF. We've let you sell them Manic Panic and all these crazy colors for Halloween for their kids. Okay, we get it. But now, when you have a licensed hairstylist now virtually giving advice to our clients that are meant to be coming to see us, now I'm really pissed and I'm going to talk about it. So they may come at me. I don't know. I don't know what they can do to me for talking about it. But in a world where in Pennsylvania, in my salon, I can't switch over to chair rental with my people that work for me. I live in Florida. They live in PA. I think it would be amazing to be able to have them just rent their chair and do their own thing. They don't need me to tell them what to do. They've been in the salon for 20 plus years. I can't do that because I'm a rule follower. And if it's illegal, I don't do it. So buying hair products, we've been so protective of, make sure that you don't give your license out to all of your clients and let them go buy product at cost. We know it happens. I don't do it. So I have been a rule follower. I've done the right thing my entire career. And now Sally is making it so damn easy for my client. And I know this because I did it yesterday. I took the time to get a consultation and I'm such an idiot. I'm trying to be I'm not a hairdresser incognito. And look at behind me. My book is on the wall. If she knew anything about that book, that it was written by a hairdresser or looked it up, she would know that this was like a spy recon, but I digress. That was a mistake. But I went on. Well, first of all, I want you to see the video that shows up when you go on the site. This is an influencer. Her name is Alina A. She has 224,000 TikTok followers, and they have her on TikTok showing this amazing color that you and I, when you see this video, will know was not done by a person who has no skill as a colorist, by someone at Sally walking her through it.
Don't you wish you had your own stylist that would guide you through your hair color choices? That would help you pick the right color, the right shade, the right developer, so you didn't have to guess or ruin your hair? It's like having your own personal stylist without the hefty price tag. It's free. Sally Beauty has a brand new feature on their website. It's right here, the licensed colorist on demand. You just answer a few simple questions and a professional licensed colorist will help you. You can do a video consult or you can just chat. They helped me go from this into this.
So I want to hear in the comments if you think that she went from that to that alone in her kitchen, bathroom, bedroom, wherever the hell she was. She did not do that herself. I will go to my grave knowing that unless she in a former life was a hairstylist or her mom was a hairstylist or she was very interested in our craft, for me, that would make me sweat taking her from that to that. And I've been doing this for almost 40 years, every single day, specializing in color. So I'll tell you what my experience was. And I wanted to show the video of the experience, but I didn't want to go too far as like legalities and showing that off. But first of all, it's instant. So I don't know about you, but there's no way that if someone reached out to me, I could instantly get on a video call with them, even with my schedule now, with not being in the salon. So I go on the site and I propped up my camera on my phone because I was like, I don't know how to, get this recorded. But I propped it up and I clicked on the thing. And at first it was a chat like you saw that she showed. And it was like, what is your first name? What is your last name? How would you like to have your consultation? You can have it in the chat or you can have video. I was like, video 100%. So I've had a little trouble with my camera. Now I'm pretty techie. I do online education. So I am very, very well versed in all things tech. And the site wanted to use my camera that's connected to my computer and I have an outside camera. So I was struggling a little bit with that. So I'm thinking she couldn't help me with that. The person that she's like, hello, hello, hello. I'm like, I'm here. I'm just trying to get my camera to work. So I get my camera on and I'm exactly like this. My hair looks exactly like it does today because I washed it yesterday and it was freshly shampooed, no crayon or anything in it. And I don't really have much regrowth. Johnny just did my color. So number one, that's an issue because she's looking at me right now and formulating me. and no question about what's the history of your hair, how often do you color it, what type of color, nothing. So her first question was, what are you looking to do? Do you want highlights or are you just covering gray? And I said, I have both in my hair. And I put my head down. She didn't ask me to put my head down. She didn't ask me to turn around and show the back. I put my head down and said, yeah, I have, some gray, and I really only color to cover the gray. I don't really, and I'm giving her every breadcrumb of like trying to get her to get it right. So I wasn't trying to trick her and make her, make a mistake. And I said, I just really do it to cover the gray, and I don't really want to lighten the base, and I have highlights. So she said, do you want your regrowth to match your highlights? No, I just said, I didn't say it like that, but I'm thinking, I just said, I don't want my base to be lighter. I just want the gray covered. So that was that. Then she did not ask, when's the last time you had it colored? Because if she did, I would say, look, you can't even really see how much gray I have. I have a shit ton of gray, like a lot of gray, where there's a bunch of gray in here that never colors. So that's the amount of gray that I have. She never saw that. She never asked. So she said, your natural is a level 8. Wrong. I am a 5. So she's like, your natural is a level 8. And she starts scrolling through like the Wheel of Fortune on this wheel of color choices. So she said, I'm going to recommend an 8N and 20 volume processing developer. You mix that with your color. And I was like, okay. And she said, I'm going to go ahead and put it in a cart for you. Now, will you be needing other things? Do you need a bowl and a brush? Have you colored your hair at home before? I said, no. So she put a bowl in there, a brush in there, gloves in there, and the color in there, and the developer. The total of my cart, I believe, was like $28. I don't know about you, but it cost me $28 to pay for the things that I need to use for a client as a hairstylist. So they're not only getting the professional product, they're getting it at our professional cost. I was like, it took all the strength in my body not to go off and say, I am really a hairdresser. I'm really here because I'm really pissed off you guys are doing this. So I was like, oh, thank you. She put everything in my cart. She said, give me your zip code so I can tell you what the closest store is to you. She put my zip code in, and my cart is waiting for me at the Sally Beauty Supply on 66th in St. Pete. And I was just like, oh my God. And I'm digging through. I don't have a lot of color at home because when I do hair, I do it at Johnny's Salon. But I was digging through to see if I had just an 8N and 20 volume that I could do on a swatch that I have that is 50% gray, 50% level 5, which is what I am naturally, to show you. And I want to hear in the comments, what do you think would happen if I went to Sally, picked up that 8N and 20 volume and put it on my regrowth and set the timer? Like, what is so wrong with that situation? Because I've had it happen, and I've had a hairdresser do it to me accidentally, use a level 8 with 20 volume, or no, 10 volume, a level 8 with 10 volume. And I'm not going to say because I'm waiting for you guys to answer. Karen, I see your comment about the bring a friend and rent a chair. I asked her about that. And if you could see the look, I have to at least post this video in my insider group because that's a private group. I at least have to show you the look on her face when I said, I see that you also rent a chair, that I can come in and rent a chair and put my color on and have a stylist there watch me. Is that true? And she said, I don't know anything about that. And she said, excuse me. And she typed, I guess, into her work thing and said, oh no, that is for hairstylists. Hairstylists can rent a chair for the day. I'm like, I don't think so. I remember seeing it that it said, bring a friend and rent a chair. So that really fired me up. So yes, Felix, big mistake, orange, warm colors. Absolutely. And I would be so pissed if I followed that advice because she didn't know that I have 50 or more percent gray. She's not doing anything to combat the warmth that's going to come from taking a level 5. Well, pretending to take a level 5 to an 8. A level 8N with 20 volume on a natural level 5 is not getting me to a level 8. So what it's doing is the 8 and the 5 are coming together and I'm meeting halfway. So I'm going to get a brilliant, beautiful glorious, bright orange bozo level 7 on my regrowth, and I'm going to cry. And then I'm going to go and pay a real salon and a real hairdresser to fix it. And it's going to take a long time to fix because I just had it happen maybe a year ago, and it took me Frito Bag Blonde. I love that, Tiana. I'm totally stealing that. Frito Bag Blonde. Now, me, I would say Dorito. I am Dorito over Frito. I do like a Frito once in a while, but I am Dorito to the core. So, yeah, I mean, so many things wrong with this situation. And honestly, I'm exhausted by it all. I really am. I'm exhausted by what's happened to our commission salon structure. I'm exhausted by all the 1099 nonsense. I'm exhausted by the kitchen beautician nonsense that COVID created. I mean, we always had to compete against the basement hairdresser and the kitchen beautician. But now, more so than ever, stylists saw that in COVID that they didn't miss a beat and that they could either do it in their hair or in the client's chair house or their house or the client's house. And they got to keep all the money for the most part. They didn't have the rent of a suite or a salon. So everything has changed. And I'm feeling a little bit like I am one of the few that's still fighting the fight for us. Like when I'm out there and I get all fired up about these things, people are like, just ignore it. Just do your own thing. Stick to yourself, worry about yourself. And I'm like, yes and no. Like I've been in this industry since I was 18 years old. This all began, and I have such a love for it. And I have such a love for all of you. And I want all of you to be six-figure successful stylists. Yeah, Tracy just said, how can the state board allow? I don't get it. I mean, it must be that when you have a lot of money, because I don't know if you know this, but Sally had the money to buy Cosmoprof. Okay, think about that. Sally bought Cosmoprof. It wasn't the other way around. So Sally is like, yeah, we're making more money off the consumer than these hairdressers. So let's just make it all wide open to the consumer so we can make even more money. The hell with the hairdressers who put every one of these brands that we're making our bajillions off of on the map. These companies start out and they are nobody. You know, like I remember when Pureology first came out, I was like, the salesman came, it was $24 a bottle in 1990 something. I was like, whoa, that is some expensive shampoo. But it smelled amazing. And their whole premise was like, we're going to lock in that color and your clients aren't going to fade. And I was like, you know what? I'm a color specialty salon. I owe it to my clients to have the best of the best for their color. So I was an early adapter to Pureology. I, shouted from the high heavens how amazing it was. People started using it. Then, you start getting everybody on it. And then our clients would come in and go, oh, I need shampoo, but I'm going to get it on Amazon because I have free shipping and I have a credit or whatever. They would give us some reason why they were buying it on Amazon. I'm like, really? You wouldn't even know what this stuff was if it wasn't for us. And you're in here in the salon right now, in the flesh, where I can hand you the bottle right now. And you're going to go home. And actually, some of them click from their chair. I'm sure you've had that happen. They click from their chair and place their order and put it in their cart before they leave because they know that it's probably going to get to their house by the time they get home. That's how amazing Amazon has become. They're having drones deliver product now. We're living in this sci-fi alternate universe. I love artificial intelligence. I'm using it in my business. I'm sharing it with all of you. Brendan Jack started this whole business based on artificial intelligence and streamlining the procedure of you keeping in touch with your client. There's so many good things about it. But when the hairdresser can't make a buck off a bottle of shampoo that's protecting the very color that they painstakingly created a custom couture formula for someone like me who needs one formula here, a different formula here, the other formula here, a much more gray, as you can see back here. This is showing already, and I just had it done because this is super gray. This is barely any gray. So I need someone who's going to care enough to do. Poor Johnny is like that, that thing with the hands that I forget. It's like a yogi thing where she has like a million hands. That's what Johnny feels like doing my color. Cause I'm like, oh, wait, you got to use that bottle here. Nope. Use that bottle here. Use this one here. He has to keep switching back and forth. And that's what I did when I was behind the chair. And that's why my clients never cheated on me and never left me until I left them to move. So, guys, why I'm sharing this with you is, yes, I'm fired up and I need to vent, and I don't go to therapy right now. So I needed someone to put it on. And the other thing is, we need to step up our game. We need to make, if they can get an instant on demand virtual consultation and someone puts their color in the cart and they can get it right then, I'm seeing a shift so far to the other direction. When I was doing hair, and I see Gina's on here, Gina worked with me, and we both were so guilty of having zero boundaries. There was nights, I know Gina will tell you, we didn't get out of the salon until midnight. Midnight. My husband thought I was having an affair. He's like, who is getting their hair done at 11 o'clock at night? But it was squeeze another one and squeeze another one in. Oh, you want highlights? Sure, I can stay and do those. Oh, you need a treatment after that? Okay. Oh, and then you need your eyebrows waxed. Oh, and then we did this for years. So that's why we are successful, because we bent over backwards, literally, for these people. But now the younger generation, the new generation, is so far to the other extreme of boundaries and saying no and only doing 3 clients a day and having 5 hours to do each client and all of those things. You're not going to be able to keep up when this Sally's thing gets out and the consumers are running around buying their own color and getting pretty damn good at it. Because, guys, not only is Sally offering this, but if you type into ChatGPT any question about your hair, I typed in, somebody asked me a question about locks, dreadlocks, color bleaching dreadlocks, and I didn't know the answer. And I typed it into ChatGPT and I got a very thorough, correct answer on how to bleach locks. So don't get it twisted and think that you're the only authority anymore. Really, the only difference between you and them doing it at home is your hands and your custom formulation. Goldwell just came out with a brand new machine. I just saw it on a friend's salon page, where you're going to be able to type in a situation and Goldwell machine dumps the custom formula into a bowl. You don't even have to use your brain anymore. It's freaking scary. We're all going to be walking around like zombies that can't recall a word because we're not using our words or our brains. So all of this technology is coming after you. So if you are not fully booked in your salon, if you don't have a wait list, if you're not, making the money that you want to make, do something different in 2024 than you've done in the past, because Sally sure is. And all these other people are doing different things. Madison Reed came at us first. And let me tell you, the Madison Reed girl, she gave me a good formula. It was permanent color and I wouldn't use that. But she was right. She made sure that she put cool in there to combat the warmth that was going to come from my level 5. Like she had it all going on. She was good. And I was like, holy shit, she really was good. Like someone could take her advice and easily do. Especially if you have brunette clients and you're just simply covering their gray every month, stop doing that. Start giving them tiny little tinsel lights to add some dimension. Start doing super amounts of shine on their ends at each visit. And when I say shine on the ends, I don't mean clear shades EQ drug through. That's not what I mean. So go the extra mile, do something different, because these things are alternatives that did not exist before. I remember being in a classroom at one of the first Hair Color USA. Now, I was at the Hair Color USA because I had no idea how to formulate whatsoever. And I was there to learn formulation. And this person got up and spoke and said that they were working on a laser, the way you get laser hair removal, which shout out to having hair-free pits, best thing I ever did. And this laser was supposed to prevent people's hair from ever turning gray. It was going to permanently keep the pigment in their hair. I was like, oh man, this was so early in my career. I was literally 19 years old and hadn't even started coloring hair yet. And I was like, already technology is taking away my job and I didn't even start yet. But that was in 1987, I believe. And it never happened. This really happened. This is really here, right now. I joke about the Flowbee all the time. The Flowbee hooks up to the vacuum cleaner, sucks up the hair and cuts it. I'm like, oh shit. If people start getting something that they can suck up their hair and cut it properly, we're all in trouble, because I often will say on these coffee chats and when I teach on stage, we're irreplaceable. We're one of the only jobs that can never be replaced. Think about when you're driving now and your Easy Pass and you fly through toll booths now. Remember when the little old man was in there in his Hawaiian shirt with his big smile and he would sit there and count out the coins to give you your change? And you're like, oh my God. When I was driving to New York, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to dig out the change. I don't want to wait for my change. So all that's gone, right? And most times you only pay the toll going in one direction. It's not even both directions. So many jobs have been replaced. Don't let it be yours. Don't let it be us. Don't let us go away. When someone, I'm not at that level where I fight, at Capitol Hill with all those things with cosmetology, but I think I might start being that person, because this stuff hits me hard. And I'm like, there's a reason I'm bothered by this. It may be that I'm meant to speak up a little bit more. I tend to shy away and say like, no, I better not say that, because, I've seen what's happened to people that spoke up against other companies. They get lawsuits and all that stuff. And I'm here to help. I'm not here to cause, big shit storms. But I also am very protective of all of you and all that we do behind the chair, because we work our asses off, literally work our asses off, standing 8, 10, 12 hours a day, not taking breaks to pee or drink or eat. And it's like, that easy. With a blink of an eye, Sally can take over our clients, especially our brunette. Our single process colors, they're in danger of going away. And a lot of, to get back to the new generation, a lot of the new generation don't even do singles. They just say, I'm a blonding expert. I do lived in color. That's it. But who knows what's going to happen to them? Because the gray client is our bread and butter that pay our bills. They're there every single, some 3, most 4 to 5 weeks, every single time, paying us consistently. And, there's something great about that. They're the clients that we get to know. We get to talk to them because they sit longer processing. These 3, 4, or 5 hour processes. I just did one. I did a lived in color for the in-person class. Alexa, my model, is not going to have to see me for another 8, 6, 7 months. She only gets her hair done twice a year. So if you're doing only lived in color, you have to keep filling your book. It's exhausting how many clients you need to see when you only see that person twice a year, versus a gray client you're going to see 12 times a year. That's a big difference. And if you're pricing it properly, our single process is $98, just the single process. That's not a blow dry. That's not a haircut. That's not a brow wax. That's not, anything else. It's just the color. So with the price of color, if you're still giving away a haircut free with your touch up, stop doing that. The price of color has gotten to the point where you cannot afford to give away anything. You have to make sure your costs are covered. Especially, I am like dumbfounded when I see what people are paying for suites. People are paying for a single solo, less than 400 square foot suite what I paid when I owned my building and was paying the mortgage. So it's really getting it's getting out of whack, where the suite owners that own the building are making out like fat rats. They have a lot of turnover, but they don't care. As long as there's a new sucker coming in, all the people coming brand new out of school going, I'm going right into a suite. I'm like, honey, I hope you have a sugar daddy or a sugar, parent. I hope that your parents are really good to you and you can live at home for the next 5 years, because when you have weather, like right now in Pennsylvania, since January 1st, we've already closed twice because of snow. And that money is due, whether it snows, whether there's a tornado, whether you have COVID, whether your client has COVID, whatever comes up, that rent is due. Where when you're working in a commission salon, yeah, it still stinks losing a day of productivity, but the salon takes half of the hit and you take half of the hit, and you don't get money. It's not that you owe money. So really, really sit and think about everything in your process. And are you pricing accordingly to your situation? Are you really making a profit? I just had this conversation with Bryn and I said, with my own business, the more I scale and the more I grow this business, the higher my expenses are. So I said, we need to sit down and figure out if this is really making sense to keep going for the gusto of the big, big numbers, because as with anything, more income is more employees and more expenses. So I'm like, I said, my quality of life has been the same when I was a solo in my own salon back in 1989 and, 400 square feet working alone as it is now, because when you make more, you spend more. So my life is the same. It's not like I'm, in a beachfront giant mansion because the income is higher, because now I have to pay this one, this one, this one, this one, Facebook ads manager, consultants, coaches, like all the things just go up, 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 up. So some days it's like, simple is best. If you just have a nice hot cup of coffee and you're in a warm house and you have all your needs met, sometimes that's enough. But only you know what it is that you want. But don't want the bigger, nicer things and then give everything away to your client. The student that came to see me for the in-person class, when she shared her prices with me, I said, please don't take this the wrong way, but you just talked about your son working at a music store for, so much an hour. I'm like, that's pretty much what you're doing. I know you don't think so because you think you're bringing in this money, but when you told me what your expenses are, I'm like, you're not making enough money. Like, you're not charging enough. So, I always offer, I say, are you open to feedback? Because a lot of people get very defensive when I just, sometimes I'll see something, and Gina's one of them. I don't know if you're still on here, Gina, but I'll see her post something and I'm like, I want her to know not to do that. And I want to butt in. And I'm like, she didn't ask me. She didn't ask me for my advice. She doesn't work for me anymore. She's on her own. And until she does the thing and sees that it didn't give her the profit that she thought that it would, she's not going to listen to me anyway. And it's not just her, it's anyone. So I did a podcast interview yesterday, and the girl wrote a book, Unleash Your Favorite Self. And she has extreme ADHD, as do I, as you can see from these coffee chats, how I go all over the place. And she was talking about, in her book, she says, you need to shed the shoulds. And I was like, oh, I took a picture in my Kindle of that phrase. And she said, every room that you walk into, you're going to have one person. Let me see. I'll see if I can bring it up. It was one hater, two. It's going to take me too long to bring it up, but it was a great quote. Maybe I'll put it back in here. Hold on. It was great because we think that people really give a crap about what we're doing and who we are and what we look like and all the things, and they really don't care. They don't take the time. So whichever version of you, so if you're putting on a fake self, like if you're in the salon and you're like, act all different when you have a new client than you would if you were doing a coworker's hair, like they're different versions of you. So whatever version of you enters into a room, to a party, to, a wedding reception, whatever. You have one hater, two admirers, and 7 who don't care. I love that. So the first 10 people that you see, 1 doesn't like you automatically. They just don't like your face. 2 are like, oh, wow, I love her dress. I love her shoes. Oh, great legs. Oh, I love her tan, whatever it is. Blue eyes. Oh, awesome. 7 don't care. They don't even see you because they're so in their own insecurity in their head that they're worried about, do I have lipstick in my teeth? Do I have anything hanging out of my nose? Like for me, I'm always like, when I'm in a wedding, I'm like, do I have any food in my teeth? That's like my peeve. So it's just so interesting. And it makes life so much more simple when you understand that you're not for everybody. And you're always going to have your fans that are your 20%, and just lean into that 20% and just be the best version. Be your best. No, not your best. It's not your best version. It's your favorite version. The book's called Unleash Your Favorite Self. And it says you want to be your favorite version of you, because when you're not being your favorite version, you're putting on this act that you're someone that you're not because you think someone else wants you to be that way. I went to an awesome in-person event this weekend, and I can sometimes get in my head where I'm like, oh, is everybody going to be my age? Is it going to be a lot of 20 somethings? Are they going to be like super yogi, like, with the matcha and the kombucha and all of that? Like, I'm not quite there. I'm like into the woo, but I'm not quite there. So I can get into my head about like, I'm going to be the oldest one here. I'm going to be the most out of shape here, all those things. And I was like, no, I'm going to approach this completely differently. I'm going to be the one that walks in and is the first to introduce myself to the host of the retreat, to the educator at the retreat, to the other retreat attendees. I'm going to be the one, because I know now from doing all the work for 56 years, now I know that they're all feeling insecure and thinking all those things too. And they're waiting for someone else to break the ice. So I walked up to each woman, shook their hand, introduced myself. They thought I was running the retreat. They're like, "Oh, are you the?" I was like, "No, I'm just here. I just got here early." So it shifted everything for me being that person, because that is the best version of me, where sometimes I will shut that down because I'm a little, Bryn's like, "Mom, you come in hot." You're like, "Rah," right in the person's face. I'm a touchy. I'll like touch somebody on the shoulders, or I'll go like this to their hair and be like, "Oh, great hair." And I don't ask permission. And she's like, she did trauma training. So she's like, "Mom, some people don't like you coming in hot and touching them. So you have to ask their permission." I'm like, "Oh, okay. I didn't get that memo." So thank you for listening to my rant. I went totally off of the Sally thing, because I think in the end, it's just up to us to be amazing. And, don't go into your salon and start talking about this. "Oh, Elaine was on the coffee chat going off." Don't even bring it to their attention, because if they're not looking for it, don't put it under their nose. That's not good either. Just be your best, be your favorite self, and give them such love and attention, and make the visit so special that they don't want to be in their bathroom slinging color. Like I said to the girl at the end, "Do you have any special instructions on how to apply this?" Because she didn't even get into that. Well, they send you a video for that. And, oh, I wanted to make sure I said this. The instructions, I got an email from them, and the instructions say, apply the color if you have 30% or more, what client knows what percentage they have? They don't know. If you have 30% or more gray, time it for this amount of time. If you have no gray, it was like no gray, 25 minutes, gray, 45 or something was the instructions. Not if you have no gray, you better have some cool in there. You're going to be blonde McDonald. None of that was in there. And then it said, and be sure to not shampoo the color out. Just rinse it really well, and then use our blah, blah, whatever they send you. And she recommended a bowl and brush. And I said, "Oh," and I'm acting dumb. I said, "Oh, I remember seeing my mom color her own hair, and she always used a bottle. Is there a reason that you didn't recommend a bottle? Like, am I going to be okay?" I'm thinking to myself, bowl and brush? Hell no on my hair, because I'm going to cover the first 2 inches of my brand new highlights. I know that, but the consumer doesn't know that. So she said, "No, I did the bowl and brush because this color is a cream and it's too thick to go through the bottle." So she's going to have people slinging, in my opinion, bowl and brush. There's way too much space between the floor and the head to get their poor white porcelain tile in their bathroom or whatever the heck they have is going to be splattered. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. What does my friend Johnny say? I have a client listening with me. She was like, "Oh, hell no." That's awesome. Will never do my own color again. You can always tell when someone does it themselves. Yet we're not even going to go into how much banding there's going to be, because they don't know not to overlap at all. They're going to think brown on brown. How can they mess up? But level 5 brown on level 5 hair over and over and over again, by the 4th visit, it's going to be level 3. So thanks for listening. I went super long on this one. I knew I would, because I'm fired up. But I'm excited for my date with you, Johnny. I can't wait to go and have our little foot thing done. And I will see you later. And I'll see all of you next week.